Okay. Hi, guys. Uh, oh, thanks, Jerry. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm Joseph. I'm a partner at DFS Lab. Um, and DFS Lab is an early stage investment firm focused on backing founders who we think or we perceive to be building the future of digital commerce on the continent. And we're a research-based investment firm, which is one of the things that makes us quite different. And lots of the work we do on the research and advisory side informs like many of the investment decisions we make. And a great example is the work we did with, or we've been doing with Stellar on kind of community building and empowering, giving entrepreneurs tools to be able to build on Stellar. Lots of that work informed our decision to start a fund with Stellar to invest in these entrepreneurs. And so I'll talk about how that has gone. We're pretty much a diverse team spread across the continent and also other Europe and America. And this gives us like a very kind of varied insights. This gives us varied insights on how we approach our investments and how our thinking works. So I'll just jump into it. We like to. A lot of our investments is, like I said, is driven by research, and we like to have like a core thesis, like anytime we're thinking of investing. And this is still evolving, but for us, this is our core thesis, right? Africa needs crypto, but crypto also needs Africa. I was going to apologize for, I would interchangeably use blockchain and crypto for the purists in the room. And so most of this, thinking, I'll go into why, we think this way, but, we see that, yes, the continent needs crypto. There are lots of problems that we have on the continent. I'm so happy that Ruth went before me, and so she was able to give you an insight into the issues that many consumers on the continent face. But at the same time, we also think that the continent is one of the few places where lots of the ideas that we have in crypto and in blockchain space can be tested out. Africa is one of those places where we can make huge leaps in the financial system without having the drawback of any infrastructure deficits, right? And you don't need to have built out, our own Swift network or some other kind of rails. Crypto is able to easily help us do that. And Africa is one of the few places where you can test that out. And so it's very important that we're able to show that crypto works in Africa, and then as a result, it works elsewhere. So kind of diving a bit deeper into this, like it's lots of knowledge that lots of people have. Ruth has touched on this in our presentation, so I'll just give you like four key points on why we think the way we think. So Africa is a global leader in grassroots crypto adoption. We've seen this lots of times. People are surprised when they look at the type of transactions that happen on the continent. They're like, or you see something like Nigeria or Kenya on like the top 10 list of crypto, adopters. And the truth is, there's a big need for it. We've continued to grow in crypto adoption. Nigeria is currently at the forefront of this. And even though, the whole of sub-Saharan Africa it just accounts for like a small percentage of global crypto, transaction volume. We've continued to see growth. So again, like Ruth touched on, you've seen lots of retail use for crypto. This is a very important part. Crypto in Africa is very practical, and it's focused on day-to-day transactions. So we're not talking about like, you know, kind of trading, just like trading securities or hedging or whatever you have in the US. You're talking about real retail-sized payments. And we, you know, a lot of remittances come into the, you know, continent, and many of the customers don't even know that these transactions are being done on crypto rails. You just move money every day, or you get money from your relatives abroad, but you know it's running on crypto. The same thing for P2P transactions. We've seen people almost every day, because of, you know, they're trying to run away from, they're trying to hedge against like devaluation and things like that. They do like a lot of their P2P transactions also in crypto. So it's very practical on the continent. And I already touched on this a bit. Stablecoins and crypto provide a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. Again, Ruth had those big numbers in our presentation. We're having a talk at a brain that's not quite long, and like, over the past year, the Naira has gone, you know, over 200%. And so you have lots of people storing their money in stable coins. Again, you have to understand that USD is not accessible. Like fiat USD is not accessible as it is for many other people in other continents. And so people see stable coins as a stable way of, you know, hedging against devaluation. And it's moved more to stable coins away from Bitcoin. So people used to hold Bitcoin also as a security. But again, because you're looking for stability, you're trying to avoid volatility, you've seen many people move from Bitcoin to stable coins as to store value. And then stablecoins are becoming a popular option for cross-border transactions, you know, across the continent. We've invested in companies that are, you know, touching on this. We've seen a bunch of companies that are doing this. Bitmama is doing this. Shiga is doing this. Honeycoin is doing this. A lot of companies on the Stellar platform are doing this. And again, reduced volatility. Lots of B2B transactions now happen on stablecoins, like huge volumes. And so, you know, the way we think about it, right, all these have kind of set the stage for, you know, this being the right time for us to invest in crypto and blockchain companies on the continent, and also show that, you know, the continent is a great place for us to try out this experiment. And, you know, not, you know, like I was saying yesterday somewhere, not enthusiast kind of experiments, but experiments that are actually touching everyday lives and transactions or commerce. So I'll just go and, you know, talk through our approach and how, you know, we work with entrepreneurs on Stellar. So we basically drive this through this, you know, three forms: community, support, and funding. And I'll talk about, like, let me start with community. Our first engagement with Stellar was through bootcamps. And we try to build communities of entrepreneurs building projects on the continent. And we'll have like this, what do you call it? I think we had them like twice a year. We'll have like this bootcamps where people would come with their ideas, and at the end of 5 days, have like a fully built project that they could go live with. And so we did this, you know, for like 2 years. And because we already invest and we know what the support entrepreneurs need, we found many of these companies going away from like the project stage to actually becoming real businesses and needing that support, right? And so we'll find ourselves providing support in operations, you know, in maybe getting a co-founder, finding an engineer. You know, at one of our bootcamps, we had 2 people become co-founders, you know, just as a result of working together at the bootcamp. And so we saw that we needed to provide that support. And so we've continued doing that. So, building the community. We're still doing the community thing with our program with the Stellar community for Stellar Surge. We're providing support to these founders. And then very importantly, funding, right? So you've told me I can build on Stellar. I've started this project. It's become a real company. You've provided all this support in terms of finding a co-founder, setting up a proper company, running my operations, finding engineers. But I also need money to keep this running. And so we saw an opportunity to fund companies in the early stage. Now, there are a bunch of founders I spoke with here when they were pretty early, but we didn't have the funding to back them. Link is looking at me. And so we thought there's an opportunity to create a fund to back these founders. And so we've done that in partnership with the Stellar Enterprise Fund. We do have an early stage fund where we back founders building on the Stellar protocol. And so we've done this for the past year. And I wanted to walk you through. I want to walk you through some of the companies we funded. I'll give you a snapshot of the fund. So we've funded around 6 companies across 5 countries on the continent. There's so much more to do. And we've invested close to $1 million across all these companies. And this portfolio of companies have transacted, over the past year, and this has just been for 1 year. They've transacted over $60 million, in total process volume on chain. It's not across all of them. And so we think that there's a big opportunity, and this is very important. A part of this is very important to us. We are not necessarily looking for crypto native projects. We're looking for people who are building real applications, but where we can see a real use case for crypto or Stellar specifically, in the case of this fund. And you'll see that many of the companies here, I'll walk you through some of them, are building in different sectors. So Vilio, for example, is building a travel tool to help people put together trips and visit other countries as easily as possible. Create a trip itinerary, be able to visit other countries, and be able to pay vendors in those countries as easily as possible. It's a no-brainer how Stellar works in that case. Hustle Sasa, we've had a lot of conversations about the creative economy over the past 2 days. And Hustle Sasa is doing a great job of helping creators, musicians, artists monetize, starting in Kenya. They're starting to work on a much bigger scale. They're one of the major partners of the NBA in Africa. And so there's lots of opportunities for many of these companies. And there are lots of companies we see coming up. So let me talk about 3 of them. We have Shiga. So Shiga is basically, helping businesses in the African markets, access decentralized finance solutions. And Shiga, I think we're the first check into Shiga. And over the past year, over a year now, they've processed around $35 million. And they have over 500K in rares, right? So this is a real business. People go look for them every day to make transactions that banks are not willing to make. And then, Shiga uses Stellar to basically facilitate all the cross-border transactions. They work with the partner Bridge, also a Stellar partner, to do this. And it's obvious how this is just a great solution for businesses, just to reduce costs alone. If you try to move money as a business, so they've told me about some of their customers, that will try to get commitments from a bank, and the currency is so volatile that by the next day, the price of yesterday is not the price today. And so being able to do these transactions instantly is very important for these businesses. Tonstay. So Tonstay is helping businesses in the African travel industry receive money and convert customers without paying a lot of money. So if you use the card rails on the continent right now to receive money from your customers, you're paying a lot in fees. I think someone was talking about that earlier. There's a lot that you're paying fees, and Tonstay is building on the Stellar rails to help their customers reduce that cost. And those transaction costs go down, by up to 70%, which is like huge savings for an hotel getting customers paying from other countries. And so hotels are able to accept global payments with reduced fees. And this is, they've hit, again, over 250K in annualized revenues in just like around 3 months. So real businesses, like, and then Hologram. Hologram we're very excited about. So Hologram is essentially building a super app, kind of powered by Telegram in Ethiopia. And one of the biggest things for them is what they call the Hulu market, which is they have like thousands of merchants selling products on Hulu market. And one of their biggest concerns was escrow, right? Being able to make sure that when people pay for stuff, they trust that they will get stuff. And so they're building on Soroban to power their escrow service, using the smart contracts platform. And so these are like 3 companies that we're excited about. Again, out of like a portfolio of like 6 that are doing great. And we're continuing to look for like more companies to invest in on the continent. Again, all building real solutions, all solving real problems. And so for us, our vision for the future of crypto on the continent is to just empower entrepreneurs, create real world solutions, right? One of the reasons why we were crypto skeptics for a long time was because we just kept seeing projects that that wouldn't go anywhere, right? And if I'm trying to think of real ways to move money or earn money, and you're building, maybe like a game, there's only so far that's going to be useful for me. And so we think that working with Stellar, we'll be able to back founders, and we've already shown that, that build tools that facilitate real transactions, everyday transactions, and very importantly, promote financial inclusion. It's, we like to think about, we talked about the unbanked and things like that, so it's beyond the unbanked. It's like, even if I'm banked, how do I engage, in transactions outside of the country or outside of the continent? Again, Ruth touched on some of the stuff they're building. And so we're backing founders like that in the early stage. And, we hope that we'll continue to see more solutions built on Stellar. We're encouraging that. And, hopefully in a couple of years, I'll reach out to Jerry and, with a very huge exit, and we'll all be very happy. Yeah, I thought it would be a lot more than this, so I had a poll to to share. But I'll just go ahead and share that. Okay, yeah. So you can do this on Slido. I was curious to know what people think, what the most impactful use case for blockchain technology in Africa would be. It would be great to know, what your answers are. We're already seeing companies doing a lot of this, which is exciting to us. Digital identity is one thing we want to see a lot more of. Hopefully, there are entrepreneurs doing that on the continent. And then the second poll, we've talked about barriers a lot. We just had a brain date where We talked about, how regulation is a big problem, but there are other barriers that we see, and it would be great to know, what everyone here thinks about this. So thanks, guys, for listening to my speech. If you have any questions, I'm around to talk more about what we do at DFS Lab. Thank you.